You're not doing meth again, right?
Yeah, just a little bit.
Don't do meth.
No more homemade meth. Got it.
No meth, period.
When I'm on my period?
This stuff's gotta stop.
Right.
Right?
Yeah, because it's a gateway.
It's the finish line.
I could write the book on methamphetamines, a drug that almost single-handedly ruined my life in the early 90s, but I'm not so sure the tragic story would sell. I am surprised that the screenplay for Fist Fight, a movie without a single interesting idea, was bought, and I'm even more surprised that enough people thought it was worth a year of their life to work on. But what do I know? I'm just a recovering meth head with just as many restraining orders as YouTube subscribers.
You really want to have a fist fight after school like we're a couple of students?
I want everybody to see this.
Teachers don't fight.
We're gonna handle our differences like real men.
What differences?
You got a job and I don't.
Fist Fight takes place on the last day of school at Roosevelt High and centers on English teacher Andy Campbell, played by Charlie Day, as he tries to navigate his way through senior pranks, questionable co-workers, and budget cuts that are putting people's jobs on the line. When Campbell rats on fellow teacher Rod Strickland, played by Ice Cube, to save his own employment, the unpredictable and highly feared Strickland challenges Campbell to throw down in fisticuffs after school. Looks like he's about to get a lesson from the School of Hard Knocks. Fist Fight is a movie you might find channel surfing on a Saturday afternoon, but it's definitely not a film you'd stick around for after the commercial break. Each scene has its fair share of random jokes, but without an interesting story, I doubt anyone will even remember this dud after its theatrical run, which I imagine will be quite short and fully expect to find it on demand in a matter of months, probably on Crackle. The picture opens in outrageous fashion, as anything you can imagine going wrong at a high school doesn't. Instead, we suffer through an onslaught of senior pranks that feel as if they were the brainchild of a studio executive out on an epic bender.
Like if every time he entered the room, he was like, "What's up, bitches?"
The dubious sequence appears to be a way to justify a reality in which two public school teachers engage in a schoolyard fight that everyone in the world is privy to. Personally, I couldn't get past the movie's initial insanity, as I found myself struggling to place the events in a particular setting. I also struggled to relate with the film's main character, as by the time I accepted the absurd premise of the flick, the character was assaulting a student who refused to sell him a quarter of meth. Maybe try the science teacher. It's hard to connect with any of the characters in Fist Fight, even when the ensemble is filled with such talented comedians like Tracy Morgan, Kumail Nanjiani, and Jillian Bell. Bell, who I absolutely loved in 22 Jump Street, plays a guidance counselor that successfully seduces a student, which I guess might be funny if it wasn't for the fact that this student's life will be forever ruined by this taboo tryst. And I wonder if Christina Hendricks of Mad Men fame ever wondered exactly what her character added to the story.
I think Ms. Monet has a past that is a bit mysterious, and I think she can be set off like that, and when she's set off, it's scary.
And she does nothing but roam the high school hallways in a sultry march before recommending to Ice Cube that he stab Charlie Day to death with a switchblade. Talk about femme fatale. Ice Cube's Mr. Strickland is easy enough to understand right away, but this isn't any credit to the filmmakers. The actor spent the last few years developing a pretty solid caricature of himself and could sound completely convincing saying just about anything.
Lavender body wash make my pores tingle. Is snakes out there this big?
I did have an issue with the decision to name the character Mr. Strickland, as I'm sure the filmmakers responsible for Fist Fight are quite familiar with the Back to the Future trilogy. And naming your tyrannical teacher after that beloved franchise's authoritarian principal seems a bit like cheating to me. You might as well name the superintendent Chalmers while you're at it.
Skinner!
It is a little frustrating that Charlie Day, who spent over a decade as one of the creative geniuses behind the brilliant FX sitcom It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia, seems perfectly fine to middle and big screen mediocrity. And as one of Fist Fight's executive producers, I'm inclined to hold him largely responsible.
And to be able to be as hands-on with this movie as I am with the television show was good for me, because I could make it more like I make our TV show.
And the picture might have worked well as an episode of Sunny where the gang begins teaching at a local high school only to scheme their way to self-destruction by the end, but that's because a half-hour episode of a long-running sitcom serves as a smaller piece of a much larger puzzle. Whereas a movie almost always stands on its own, unlike a Star Wars standalone film, which isn't a standalone movie at all.
Because that's impossible.
Now, before you dismiss me as a cinema snob, tell me to lay off the flick and defend it as a dumb comedy, I just want to point out that there are many dumb comedies in the world that still manage to be terrific motion pictures. Dumb and Dumber being the first of a long list to come to mind. There's also Anchorman, The Legend of Ron Burgundy, The Cable Guy, or how about Austin Powers, International Man of Mystery? The thing is, I don't consider any of these movies to be dumb comedies. They're well-written, perfectly executed, sheer entertainment. And I fail to see what separates them from comedies your friend Mitch might have deemed smarter.
Hey guys, Mitch here. This is Mitch Tube. What's up with these movies nowadays, lacking that class and sophistication? It's all about farting, falling down, or, having sex with some girl because you're a fraternity guy or something. I don't know, I don't like it. Let's bring back some of these old classic, sophisticated comedies, like Waking and Divine or Duck Stoop.
So yes, I guess Fist Fight is a dumb comedy. Its concept is uninspired and its characters appalling. There's a moment in the film where Ice Cube literally threatens to murder Charlie Day. Charlie flees to the roof to call 911, but gets laughed at by the emergency operators on duty. And within an hour, his tape has been satirized on YouTube and watched over 250,000 times. My mind began to drift, and I started thinking about a film that deals with the fallout of that 911 operator controversy. And if this movie is somehow successful enough to warrant a sequel, I'd like it to be about that. I'm giving Fist Fight a D and choosing not to completely fail the picture in hopes of avoiding having to repeat the class. Until next time, I'm Clifford Yeddes, and this one's in the can.
Maybe the best thing to do is just run.
I never said nothing about no running. Who's you, Seabiscuit?
Flex? I am flexing.
There's nothing there.
Why don't you just take a punch and then just go down? Play dead like possums do, or anything that's like a pussy animal.
Gamble!